full-grown trees.
Standard time returned over the weekend. We'll take a look at health impacts and why changing the clocks is still so controversial.
As we get closer to dawn, 3:35 in the morning would be pretty crazy.
There's a new study that looks at the effect climate change is having on marathon runners.
Finding those optimal temperatures is becoming increasingly more complicated.
Plus, why we may have to wait a little bit longer to start feeling winter temperatures, and an historic effort from a fishing village to preserve a home with strong connections to the weather.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. The start of November not only brings a new month, but the end of daylight saving time and a countdown to Thanksgiving. But according to the National Weather Service, the chances of early winter weather are pretty slim right now. Here's the Climate Prediction Center's monthly temperature outlook for November. Nowhere in the country has a chance of below average temperatures. In fact, though, most of the country has a good chance of seeing above average temps. The picture is a little different when it comes to precipitation, though. The lower half of the nation has a good chance of below average rainfall. The northeast and northwest could see above average precipitation. Official damage estimates are still underway in Jamaica 5 days after one of the strongest hurricanes on record struck that island. Authorities are still trying to reach dozens of communities that were cut off by Hurricane Melissa. Roads were either washed away or cut off by downed trees and landslides. That's why most expect Jamaica's death toll of 28 will actually rise in the coming days. Most of the island is still without power or even phone service. Many Americans who rode out the storm in Jamaica are now back home. Rhode Island reporter Aaron Cogan spoke with one couple.
Kind of like a different world. All the trees had been fallen over. All the roads were literally blocked by full-grown trees.
Finally touching down at TF Green Airport after their Jamaican honeymoon was prolonged 7 days due to the island's direct hit of Hurricane Melissa, Cumberland residents Jim Brennan and Christina Ruggiero say they're thankful to be back in Rhode Island, while sobered by the reality of the devastation they left behind. They ended up riding out the storm at their hotel, forced to stay an extra week before they could get a flight back. Now the rest of the island dealing with the aftermath. Take a look. These images coming from family of NBC 10's own Leanna Falk, showing houses with blown out windows and scattered debris throughout St. Ann Parish. Over 24 people have been declared dead in Jamaica, and hundreds of thousands of residents are still without power.
These are the hardest hit, and these are the bread and basket of our country.
It's a pain former Rhode Island State Rep and native Jamaican Marcia Ranglin Vassell knows all too well. Surviving Hurricane Gilbert on island back in 1988, she recalls the power then being out for nearly 2 months. Tonight, however, in the middle of our interview, a beacon of hope. For the first time since the storm, a message from her 99-year-old aunt, assuring her safety thanks to an increase of generators and portable Wi-Fi.
Daylight saving time is a thing of the past for now. It will, of course, return next year on March 8th, but there's some controversy behind the springtime change. Meteorologist A.J. Mastrangelo explains.
Let's kind of talk about what the whole controversy is in terms of changing the clocks. Of course, daylight saving time has now ended. So why was it created in the first place? Well, more daylight, of course, when people are up and about. That's pretty much the sole pro that we do see in terms of that. Less accidents, crime, energy usage as a result of that. More people are awake when the sun is up. However, there's also quite a bit in the way of some cons. Every time we have these time changes, well, it disrupts human circadian rhythm. Other health risks as well, increased stroke risk, heart attack risk do come with changing the clocks. Another con, economic issues with computer systems alongside manual clocks. And the toughest thing of all, geography. We got to think, we are a very large country. Someone's going to be getting the short end of the stick, whether or not we see daylight saving time continue or not. Now, let's talk about whether or not we would have standard time in the summer and how that would look. Well, first light, that would come around 2:51 in the morning. So you're starting to see more in the way of a blue opposed to black sky. And then as we get closer to dawn, 3:35 in the morning, would be pretty crazy waking up early this morning. Of course, we have late sunsets in the summertime as well. That sunrise would be as early as 4:11 a.m. on our solstice, of course. That's right around the 21st of June. Now, what do people think? Well, majority actually oppose daylight saving time. Neither favor or oppose. Not too far behind at 40%. Only 12% like the current system we see.
Interesting. Let's turn to South Bend, Indiana area where a local river southwest of the city is getting some tech support to help predict floods. Shelby Whitaker tells us about the new equipment which tracks the river's rising and falling water levels.
The installation, a collaboration between St. Joseph County and the Kankakee River Basin and Yellow River Basin Commission, serving as a warning system to predict flooding throughout the area so local law enforcement and emergency response teams can prepare for bad weather events.
It's very advantageous for everybody, these people in this world who monitor this, in addition to citizens and farmers, to know this type of information.
The monitoring gauge put in at Jasinski Park. That's where the Kankakee River physically starts. Before this installation, the closest monitoring site was about 22 miles away. This specific gauge monitors the river levels using a radar beam to measure the depth of the water, sending public information to NOAA.
Here in Indiana, there's 1.3 million acres in this watershed. Even when you have a whole team of people, it's very hard to be everywhere at once. We need technology to be able to understand what's happening throughout the watershed.
While this specific gauge monitors water levels, the Commission also invests in parameters that measure categories related to water quality, such as sediment loads, nitrogen, and other conditions of the water, expecting to add more in the future.
We're very confident in this technology now and our ability to manage it in-house, and I'm expecting that we're going to be adding other gauges as time goes on.
A new study of marathons and the effects of climate change was just released, and it may have runners adjusting their race goals. Chicago Windler from our Austin station runs the numbers.
As a runner and a meteorologist, the one thing that's most important is temperatures, and finding those optimal temperatures is becoming increasingly more complicated.
But please let us know at the finish line.
Temps in the low 60s welcomed a record field for the Oktoberfest Half Marathon at Texas A&M University. The College Station Marathon is 6 weeks away, twice as long, and hopefully cooler.
26 miles is hard on its own, but you have to have that sweet spot of temperature. So we really wanted to understand how is climate change impacting these big races and our ability to run them as well.
Shel Winkley is a College Station-based meteorologist with Climate Central. The nonprofit compiled data on 221 marathons worldwide, including all of the Abbott World majors like New York City, Boston, Tokyo, and Berlin.
Just the optimal temperature for your body to perform. For elite male runners, that sweet spot is about 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, for elite female runners, that sweet spot's higher. It's a threshold of 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
The elites are the top 1%, but what about the rest of us?
I would say maybe like 65 probably would be like my perfect run weather.
Kylie Carter was celebrating her Oktoberfest finish.
If it was too hot, I would probably have to take breaks or drink more water, have to stop more often, but because of the weather, I was able to run straight through.
Nat Nedham is a UPS driver. He says that helps him handle the heat.
You acclimate to it over years of doing it, and the heat doesn't really affect you as bad.
The optimal temperatures for just your recreational runner is about 43, 44 degrees.
Winkley says Tokyo is the major marathon most likely to provide optimal running temps, but the 2025 race was anything but, averaging 59 degrees, a whopping 15 degrees above normal. He says this unusual warmth was made 3 times more likely due to climate change.
But then we're looking into the future at 2045. So the races that we know that are going to be the hardest to find those optimal temperatures, the Tokyo Marathon, especially for elite male runners, the Berlin Marathon, which this year had record heat.
I mean, if it's super hot outside, I'm just not going to go run.
We understand that burning things like coal, oil, and methane gas are putting this heat trapping pollution into our atmosphere. Being able to get more renewables into our electric grids, that's going to be the biggest way that we can bring down that heat trapping pollution and save our marathons going forward.
Taking steps in the race against climate change. In College Station, Texas, I'm Chicago Windler for the National Weather Desk.
And there is some serious fog in many communities this morning. These images come from our station in Steubenville, Ohio, which sits on the banks of the Ohio River. This is steam fog. It's caused by cold air, which this morning is in the 30s apparently, moves over the much warmer water temperatures in the river. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how changing the clock twice a year can impact your physical and also your mental health, plus tips on what to do with all those fall leaves covering your yard.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A cold front moved across central Texas Saturday, packing rain, thunderstorms, and gusty winds. Pete and nickel-sized hail belted parts of the San Antonio area. In the same region, pastel-colored iridescence gave these clouds a magical look. They're known as rainbow clouds. This happens when thin clouds with small, same-sized water droplets or ice crystals diffract sunlight.
Well, there's an historic fishing village in northern Michigan called Fishtown. It's one of the last active commercial fishing districts on the Great Lakes. For decades, the local preservation society has restored and protected it, and now that includes a house where weather plays a role. The village is located in Leland, Michigan, and that's where meteorologist Ethan Foreman is joining us this morning. So we are having a little bit of trouble with that story, so we're going to move on to the story right here. 'Tis the season to prepare for winter. Jurisdictions across the country are doing just that during this transition season. Drew Powell tells us how folks are getting ready in the Texas Panhandle.
You know, let's talk about grapple today. Here's some video I shot from a few years ago. I was on a hike in New Mexico going up into the mountains, and the weather started to change pretty quickly on me. Little soft white pellets started to fall, and then eventually it transitioned over to all snowfall, and the mountains just started to fade away. But this right here is grapple. It's when super cooled water droplets coat a snowflake as a snowflake is falling. It forms when there's a lot of wind circulation in the cloud that causes the snowflake to travel through areas of the cloud with super cooled water droplets, and it kind of looks like Dippin' Dots as it finally collects on the ground. Hail, on the other hand, is formed when raindrops are carried up by the thunderstorm's updraft into extremely cold areas of the atmosphere and freeze. The hailstones grow by colliding with liquid water droplets that freeze onto the hailstone surface, and they can just keep on getting bigger and bigger.
Well, your body likely has not yet adjusted to yesterday's return to standard time. Yes, you may have slept in an extra hour, but that doesn't mean you'll feel rested. Medical reporter Liz Bonus explains why.
Hey there, everybody. Anything that alters a sleep schedule can impact your body and your health. And specialists say it's all because we are each born with our own circadian rhythm.
That rhythm influences your sleep because it's sort of your own personal body clock. Dr. Karthik Kanagarajan told me. He says we tend to like the fallback time of year.
Because you're gaining an hour, but gaining an hour doesn't mean that it's a quality hour.
Dr. K, as he's affectionately known, says the most important thing to remember when it comes to sleep.
Our body clock doesn't change like your smartphone, like boom, get an hour back update. No, our body clock is driven by the circadian rhythm, and the rhythm is driven by the sunlight.
Getting some daylight as early as possible, altering your sleep time about 15 minutes a night, not upping your caffeine, and getting more exercise can help reduce the fallback impact to your health.
They saw 11% increase in depression.
There's also a rise in car accidents later in the day.
Not only just dark sooner, but also your body sluggish.
Blue light, he says, from your smartphone or other technology drives down melatonin. So remember, that's the hormone that helps you sleep. So you might want to put down the phone.
The sweet spot, he says, 7 to 8 hours a night. Fewer than 6 can lead to health problems. More than 9 linked to other health problems. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
The United States offers a bevy of sights to view fall leaves. Meteorologist A.J. Mastrangelo takes a look at southern New England.
Peak fall foliage now making its way down here into southern New England. The first weekend of November promises still some very nice color throughout parts of the viewing area. Similar story for the Hudson River Valley, the Connecticut River Valley. Let's take a closer look here at some of the photos we have seen recently here throughout the region. The higher terrain, starting to see some of our best color, but even some of those trees right along the water's edge up here in Pawtucket, Diane sending in this photo, are starting to lose their trees. So get out there and, of course, see some of these beautiful sights before more of those leaves come on down. We'll take a trip further south down to New Bedford. We'll go. Thank you to Lisa for sending in this gorgeous photo. This is the Buttonwood Park Zoo. Some very nice yellows there alongside some oranges, and still a few trees holding on to some nice leaves. Others are starting to shed those leaves as well. Over to Connecticut, we'll go Essex. We can see Gordon submitting this gorgeous photo here. We'll continue to see this peak foliage head towards the coastline as we head through the first weekend of November.
And leaves currently cover millions of lawns across the country. Yours might be one of them. You may be planning to rake them up later this month. Baltimore meteorologist Amy Aronson has some other ideas.
To rake or not to rake? That was the big question in my household recently because, yeah, as you can see, my backyard is covered in leaves. We decided to give the rake a break this year and instead use our lawnmower to chop up the leaves. This will actually provide big benefits to our yard. The leftover leaves provide nitrogen and organic material to the grass. And this means greener grass by the spring, hopefully. Mulching leaves is also good for wildlife. Leftover leaves provide a safe spot for insects during the cold winter months. Leaving the leaves behind is also better for the environment. Bad leaves go right to the landfill where they end up breaking down and becoming bad greenhouse gases. And we don't want that. So are you on team rake or mow? Let us know what you're going to be doing with your leaves this year.
And turning back to our story about Texas, jurisdictions across the country are doing just that during the transition season. Drew Powell tells us how folks are getting ready in the Texas Panhandle.
From Masterson to just north of Cactus along Highway 287 in Moore County, storms move across in all directions. That's why a number of agencies in the Texas Panhandle converged here at the Moore County Community Center to come together and talk and put an action plan in place.
This is one of the first meetings we've had with all the entities, the heads of departments, schools, everybody. And I believe it's really beneficial for the county community that we all get on the same page and try to work together. And
all the local emergency services, we already all get along real well, but it's nice to bring TxDOT in so we know we can have some communication with them.
And during a storm, the best advice is if you don't have to travel, stay home.
We get everything from ice storms to blizzards. 287 south of Dumas, you know, there's a lot of hills, and we run into a lot of issues with trucks getting up and down the hills out there and wrecks.
We're a major hub for people coming from other states, and that way we can all have a serious game plan. Everybody knows what's happening and just work together.
From Thanksgiving to the end of March, that's traditionally when the winter storms have a strong impact on Moore County.
And as we go to break, a look at the Chattanooga waterfront along the Tennessee River.
Well, a very good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. 50s and 60s for temperatures across the Midwest for the day today. We do have some rain close to the Great Lakes, while most of the Midwest seeing a lot of sunshine for the day today. Jumping into the day tomorrow, we're going to see a mix of sun and clouds. Got a couple of light rain showers there to the far north, and we stay pretty dry for most of us again on Wednesday with a lot of 50s and 60s, maybe 70 in St. Louis.
Thanks for joining me. I'm meteorologist Mary Wasson. The storm system that moved through on Saturday is now pushing towards the east with high pressure building in across Texas and leaving us high and dry with some cool morning temperatures. Some 40s and 50s as you wake up Monday morning. By the afternoon, mid and upper 70s. And then we'll do it all over again with clear skies Tuesday morning. Lots of sunshine by Tuesday afternoon.
Good Monday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. An area of low pressure will be bringing a series of storm systems through portions of the Pacific Northwest. That means we could be seeing some periodic rain as well as high wind warnings for portions of the Oregon coast. There will also be some snow across the northern Cascade Mountains there. Daytime highs will be ranging in the 40s from Seattle through Spokane. We're talking 70 degrees in Salt Lake City with 60s from San Francisco to Los Angeles.
I'm Hannah Prescas, forecaster at KFOX 14 El Paso, Texas, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
According to folklore, the woolly worm can predict what the upcoming winter will be, but meteorologist Teresa Carter has some facts about this creature.
Even though it is widely believed that the woolly worm can predict the upcoming winter severity, the truth is that this caterpillar can't predict what the old man winter has in store for us in the upcoming winter. The woolly worm's coloring is based on how long the caterpillar has been feeding, its age, and species. The better the growing season is, the bigger it will grow. The results in narrow red-orange bands in its middle. Thus, the width of the banding is an indicator of the current or past season's growth rather than an indicator of the severity of the upcoming winter. Also, the coloring indicates the age of the woolly worm. The caterpillars shed their skins or molt 6 times before reaching adult size. With each successive molt, their colors change, become less black and more reddish.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day. I'll see you right back here